Hey everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. This is the recap of The Real Housewives of New Jersey, Season 12, Episode 4, Shady Down the Shore. All right, well, this episode picks up right where we left off with Episode 3. We are at the Jersey kegger, filled with blue jeans and attitude. As you will remember, Jennifer just told Dolores that Jackie doesn't think she's been a good friend to Jennifer. So Dolores said, "Have I been there for you?" And Jennifer said, you could be a little more. So Dolores goes, "Okay, I'll work on that. But I don't need to hear from this," pointing at Jackie. Jackie, drunk, belligerent, "Don't call me this." And Dolores, not one to back down, people, gets right in her face and says, "What are you going to do about it?" Okay. Frank has been called in to break it up, and Frank's like, "Oh, what, Dolores? What's going on here?" Dolores goes, "She gets on my nerves." In Frank's confessional, he said, "I've known Dolores since she's 19 years old. She's from the streets of Patterson. She's a street fighter." Now Evan, quite gingerly, walks up to Jackie. "Hey, sweetie, what's going on?" Jackie goes, "She doesn't know who she's dealing with." Evan's like, "Okay." Kind of like slinks back into the dark corner. "I'll be on my way." So now Dolores is telling Jennifer, "You have a problem with me, don't go to her. She's trying to pick apart our friendship. And you're not that close with her." Dolores has to remind Jennifer, "You and Jackie made up 4 minutes ago." In Jackie's confessional, she said, "Dolores wants to come for me because I'm the first one with balls who can call her out on her bullshit." What bullshit? Telling Jennifer that she has no reason to cry? I mean, yeah, that was harsh, but it doesn't mean she's not a friend. Honestly, Dolores is a better friend than most any of the other ladies on this show. I mean, except maybe Jackie. I don't think Jackie has done anything downright dirty to anybody. She's retaliated, but has Jackie stirred something up? I don't think so. I mean, you could argue that by mentioning that Joe was in jail, I mean, that did start a whole thing, but I literally think she was trying to get Teresa to understand this is the problem. Side note, the biggest mistake you could make when you're on this franchise is to try to get Teresa to understand logic. It's a losing battle. She lives in her own world. She plays by her own set of rules that are very one-sided, and you either abide by those rules or you're out. And trying to get her to see fairness and logic, it's futile. Anyway, Dolores says that she's going through the ringer right now with David, and she just thinks that everybody else should just go f themselves. So she's like, "I know who I am, and I've backed up every one of these motherfuckers." Side note, Dolores has come a long way since her days of being Siggy's lapdog. Dolores' first year, I did not like her. Siggy was spinning out of control, saying more and more outlandish, crazy things. And Dolores just defended. It was like she was her soldier, and Siggy could have done anything and Dolores would have backed her. So I kind of hated Dolores. But I am so glad that Bravo kept her after Siggy spun her way off the show, because Dolores has really become one of my favorite housewives. She's earned her spot for sure. So now everyone is leaving Margaret and Jennifer to, talk out their issues alone. Again, Margaret again tries to tell Jennifer her point of view, which is, "You crucified me for having an affair. Well, guess what? Your husband's just like me. You called me slutty for the same behavior as your husband." And finally, something clicks in Jennifer's head because she said, "Okay, that's fair. I was quick to judge." In her confessional, though, Jennifer said, "The way she boasted about her affair was just really triggering for me." Time out. I don't think Margaret ever boasted about cheating on her husband. I mean, she was very transparent about it, and that's how she met Joe Benigno. So I don't know. I guess I could see how maybe it would seem like she's not very remorseful, but that's because she met someone that she fell in love with, I think it's different than Bill's affair. But also I can see how that would trigger Jennifer. Meanwhile, Jackie and Dolores are having a chat. I never thought I'd see that. They're talking about Jennifer, and Dolores said, listen, if I thought she needed me, I'd be there for her. But she's fine. Then in Jackie's confessional. Side note, is Jackie like really glamming it up this year? This is like a new confessional look, and it's a lot. She wasn't always like that, was she? Anyway, she thinks that Dolores is wrong to assume that Jennifer is fine. Anyway, so back to the conversation between Jennifer and Margaret. Jennifer is telling her that part of the reason she kept it a secret was for Bill. And Margaret's like, why, Jennifer? The kids look up to their father, and I'm part of the Syrian Orthodox community. In my culture, we honor the man. They don't want him to be humiliated. Sorry, time out. I'm thinking about the time that the guys had to carry Bill like a sack of potatoes into the house because he was so drunk. So yeah, by all means, let's not humiliate Bill. Now Jennifer is telling Margaret that her in-laws will blame her and think that she was not a good wife to their son. What year are you living in? It just feels insane to me, and I guess I'm glad that that's not how my life is. I mean, that's not a very just way of looking at it, is it? To blame Jennifer, 9 months pregnant? And Margaret says, well, you didn't have to keep praising Bill all the time. Oh, my husband's so great. We have such a great marriage. And Jennifer said, well, I didn't want there to be another affair, so I had to keep praising him. Sad. That is just so sad. In Margaret's confessional, she's like, oh my God, this girl and I are even further apart than I realized. Anyway, she's telling Jennifer that she has nothing to do with why Bill cheated. And, like she needs to stop blaming herself. Okay, if you guys told me that this was how this kegger was going to end, with Dolores and Jackie talking to each other and Margaret and Jennifer kind of making, some headway there, I would never have believed you. But here we are. Then Melissa invites everyone down to the shore to attend her pink party. It's like a white party, but pink. And Frank is now attempting a keg stand, and that's where we leave the party. Okay, so back from the commercial, we get a bunch of little scenes. At Dolores' house, she's putting a new little harness on her dog that makes him look like a unicorn. So cute. Now we are at Jackie's therapy appointments. This is her first appointment. Her therapist appears to be 11 years old. Side note, you guys know how I always notice like weird things? This poor woman, I'm not sure if she's the therapist or if she's just like the intake person or whatever, but every time the camera like pans back to her, it's like it's getting redder and redder as the conversation goes along. And then in the end, it's like back to normal. So very strange. So the bottom line is they want Jackie to go to her regular doctor, get an EKG and blood work and all that, and make sure that she's healthy enough to like go ahead and start their program, I guess. I thought this was just going to be talk therapy, but I mean, I don't know. They said they want her to get all that done before they start treatment. I guess if she just starts to introduce a lot more food into her diet, it could affect her heart. She could have a heart attack. So scary. Okay, next it is the Catania family meeting. As you recall, Frank is moving back into the house with the kids. And I guess once the house is done, the plan is that like Dolores will move back in. And is Frank staying? Again, unclear. But as you know, the kids wanted to set some ground rules for Frank. So Frank is the last one to get there, and he orders a drink called a tequila mockingbird. I don't know what it is, but I love that name. That's really cute. So the kids are basically, telling Frank, you can't bring a woman home and all that. And Frank said, hey, I know our family's unconventional, but I'm still the father. And Gabby said, it's about being respectful. Frank doesn't understand why he can't have sleepovers if the kids can. Then he says to his daughter, are you trying to tell me you and your boyfriend don't have sex in the house? Dolores goes, Frank, we don't talk like that with the kids. Little Frankie practically does a spit take. And Gabby said, well, nothing that's loud enough that you can hear it 3 floors away. Like when your friend from Texas came. Ew. Oh, God. Just to make this conversation even more uncomfortable, Frank said, quite honestly, maybe your boyfriend doesn't satisfy you the way I satisfy my... Slap. Dolores, stop it. So long story short, Frank was just kidding, and his family comes first, of course. He said he wants to move back because he's been living like a gypsy. I'm staying here, I'm staying at the shore, and he just wants like a home base with his kids. Dolores ends up telling her kids that she and David broke up, and they are shocked. Frankie, I think, is going to start crying. But, she explains it wasn't going anywhere. And, they understand, but that family loves David and vice versa. Dolores goes, I really like David. And Frank goes, I loved him. He did. Frank was convalescing in David's home. David was his nurse. So, yeah, when I say that he was close to Dolores' family, they were close. Frank actually says to Dolores, of course the kids and I, our loyalty lies with you, but, would you mind if we still saw David? And she understands that, her family has become very attached to David. So she's like, yeah. Okay, now we get a packing montage for the shore. Dolores and Frank are at their shore house. Melissa and Joe are at theirs. And Melissa tells him that Teresa wants to have a barbecue at her place tomorrow night. And he said, I hope Jennifer's not going to be there. Oh, I guess Jennifer and Bill just are renting that beach house. And she said it's right around the corner from where they are. She tells Joe that, Margaret made up with Jennifer, but I don't trust her as far as I could throw her. Side note, why isn't anyone trying to get Melissa and Jennifer to make up? Even at Teresa's pool party, Jennifer knew that Jackie, Margaret, and Melissa weren't talking to her. And she wanted to talk to Jackie and Margaret. But what, I don't know. Okay, so we check in with Bill and Jennifer. And I guess Bill's only going to be there part of the time. He's not coming up the first day because he has to work. Allegedly. And he's wondering if Teresa's going to be there. And Jennifer said, yeah, she is. But that Dolores, she was mad because Dolores hasn't been a good friend to her. And she goes, and then Dolores really went after Jackie. And I didn't like that. Okay, then maybe you shouldn't have told her what Jackie said. You're the reason Dolores had an issue with Jackie. I love how she's just blameless. Doesn't think she had anything to do with those two fighting. Okay, so the Goldschneiders and the Beninos are traveling together, and they're heading to Joe and Melissa's house. Evan's driving, and he makes this comment that Louie and Tiki are really good additions to the group. They're good people. Margaret goes, let's not exaggerate. I want to like Louie. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But let's not forget that weird video. And it came out again today. We see an Instagram post from Bravo and Cocktails with sections of it blurred out. What we can see is this. Anon, please, and then something's blurred out. But I know a family member of his, Louie's, and he is bad news. It's really terrible. I can't get into details. And then there's this whole blurred out section. His own family members don't even like him. What a horrible dude. Teresa really knows how to pick him, and people in her close circle have been warned of him. Margaret just thinks that his past is a little bizarre and that he spends a lot of time trying to shut that down. Okay, so now those four arrive at the shore house, and Melissa is drunk, I think. Tracy's already there, and Tiki's coming up later that night. He'll meet them at Teresa's for the barbecue. Okay, so at Jennifer's house, Teresa arrives, and then we see this little flashback to Teresa calling Jennifer and saying, oh, guess what? I got my weekends messed up, and I got Louie's whole family and my kids are all staying at my house. So could we stay with you? Jennifer's like, oh, yeah, of course. Jennifer also has, I should say, Olivia and Christian, her two youngest, are with her. Anyway, so Teresa gets there and she talks about how great Louie is because he came to Boston for Adriana's dance competition thing. He stayed the whole week. Jennifer fills in Teresa on the kegger that she missed. And of course that Jackie doesn't think that Dolores is a very good friend to Jennifer. Teresa goes, oh, really? So, Jennifer's acting like she and Dolores have an issue now, which is weird to me because I thought everybody kind of made up at that kegger. Jackie and Dolores, I think, are okay with each other now. So I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't think Dolores knows that she and Jennifer have a problem. Then Teresa asks Jennifer if she can host her barbecue at Jennifer's house that night. And Jennifer's like, oh, you want to have everybody here? And Teresa goes, yeah, is that okay? So, I mean, she says yes, but I mean, what is she going to say? Kind of put her on the spot. All right, now everyone is getting ready to meet at the beach for this afternoon before the barbecue. The first ones there are Dolores and Frank, who came from their house, and Teresa and Jennifer. So those four are talking. I can't wait to see if there's going to be some kind of fireworks between Jennifer and Dolores, because it's only the four of them, you know? Dolores goes, Jennifer, how are you feeling about seeing everybody? Jennifer goes, I'm feeling better. I mean, I've had time to process everything. Dolores goes, oh, good, because, you know, you got a little upset there, which is understandable. In Jennifer's confessional, she says, oh, okay, thank you. So now you think I have a right to be upset that everyone found out my husband was cheating on me. All right, the rest of the gang arrives now, and Melissa announces that she's been drinking since 10 a.m. and asks who wants to be fondled now. Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? So Teresa tells everyone that the barbecue has had a change of venue and it is now going to be at Jennifer's house. And Jennifer's like, yes, I'm happy to have you all over. And they're like, oh, okay, thanks. Not everyone is thrilled, let's just put it that way. Then Teresa and Jennifer head to the bathroom and everybody starts talking about Louis. First, they're wondering, is he staying with Teresa at Jennifer's house? Then Margaret says to Melissa, you know Louis better than I do. Teresa seems very happy. And Melissa said, yeah, I mean, Joe and I, we hear things about Louis, but we see Teresa's face when she's with him. He's good to her. He's with her all the time. How do you question the guy? He's charming. He's good looking. And Margaret goes, so is a used car salesman. Are they? Are they always good looking? Not at the dealerships I've ever been to. Meanwhile, at the guys' table, Joe Benigno has understood the assignment given to him by Margaret and says, you know, with Louis, sometimes when there's smoke, there's fire. Attaboy. Plant the seed of doubt. So some of the ladies get up to go get food, and Jennifer, Dolores, and Teresa come back and sit down. Dolores and Jennifer start talking about David, and Teresa is on her phone, just like scrolling through her phone. Dolores says, this is the first time I'm down the shore by myself, ever since David and I broke up. And Jennifer goes, so it's really just over? Cut to Teresa, like not paying attention at all, just looking at her phone. Dolores, I didn't hear from him again. I haven't even told Teresa. Teresa, without looking up from her phone. What? Dolores, that David and I broke up like a week ago. What? Why didn't you tell me? Dolores goes, well, it's hard for me to talk about. And the other thing is, I'm taking it real bad. Horrible. Teresa goes, I'm sorry. Meanwhile, the others are sitting down to have their food at a table nearby. Jennifer goes, wait, what day did you break up with him? Was it the day of Jackie's kegger party? Dolores. Jennifer, oh, you were fucking bananas that day. She fucking blew up at Jackie out of nowhere. What? Oh my God. Out of nowhere. Nobody just told her that Jackie said she wasn't a good friend. Came out of nowhere. Oh my God. She's hilarious. And kind of genius. I mean, what a great way to avoid any responsibility, you know, for Dolores being mad at Jackie. Yeah, let's blame it on the breakup with David. I told her Jackie said she wasn't a good friend, and then out of nowhere, she blows up at Jackie. Now we know it's because she broke up with David. But seriously, Jennifer's like, oh, so now it all makes sense. Dolores goes, listen, you know what got me? Why is Jackie all of a sudden friends with you when you're fighting with her friends? Jennifer, I feel like she knows what I'm going through, and she realizes how cruel that was to me. Dolores, you want to know what your friend Jackie said to me when we were leaving her party? I don't care. He shouldn't have stuck his dick in someone else. Yeah. Yeah. What's wrong with that? Jennifer, who said that? Dolores, Jackie, she's a friend? Jennifer, that's the most vile, disgusting thing anyone could ever say. I mean, you guys have said worse, but also Dolores looks pretty proud of herself right now. And she says, Jennifer, she's playing you. Don't be a pussy right now. At least nobody else is vile and disgusting with their language. But also, how does what Jackie said about Bill not make her a good friend to Jennifer? I mean, yeah, okay, it was a crass way of saying it, but she's right. You know, I'm sorry, was it disrespectful to Bill? Who cares? Then he shouldn't have disrespected his pregnant wife. Jennifer, in her confessional, said saying something like that about someone's husband when he actually did have an affair, that's cruel. What? No, it's not. Saying it about someone whose husband didn't have an affair, that's cruel. I don't understand how that's disrespecting Jennifer. If anything, it sounded like she was defending Jennifer against her cheating husband. Anyway, it's time to go. Everyone decides they're going to just head back and get ready for the barbecue tonight at Jennifer's. When Jennifer and Teresa get back to her place, the chefs arrive and Teresa's heading to her room and she gets a call from Louis, or she calls Louis. Up until now, I should say, she's been telling us that he's on his way, he had a lot of work, but he's coming to the barbecue. So she closes the bedroom door and we're on the outside and this is what we hear.
Hello? Hi. How far away are you? Okay. Why? Oh, I might. All right.
Okay, so now we cut to Melissa's house, and she just gets a text from Teresa. Of course, she's reading this text out loud to everybody. She says, "Do not say a word. Make sure you do the right thing. Back up my boyfriend." And Margaret goes, "You know what that means. She's going to have a fucking freak out tonight." In Melissa's confessional, she said, "Teresa knows that even though we don't talk about Louis to her face, we are talking about him to each other. And she just basically told us all, you better shut up." Pretty sure she just told you to keep your mouth shut, and you immediately told everybody else. Melissa goes, "I don't know. There might be a little chaos tonight." Then we cut back to Jennifer's house, and a producer knocks on Teresa's door. And Teresa goes, "What happened to Louis?" And the producer goes, "I want to talk to you about it. We talked to him in a parking lot, and he's all upset. Did he talk to you about it?" Teresa, "No, girl. How many times has Teresa been caught red-handed on camera lying? I mean, she knows her life is on camera." She's funny. The producer said, "I think he feels like everybody's talking about him and he wants to know why." Dude, turn on your computer. In Teresa's confessional, she's like, "I told him not to come if he feels like that. Louis did not sign up for this. Not to be antagonized or questioned or anything." I'm pretty sure he did when he signed whatever release he had to sign to be on the show. And so anyway, the producer's like, "Here's the thing. The story's out there." Teresa, "I don't want to discuss it. They're not happy for us. They want to sabotage us." And she starts heading up the stairs, and the producer goes, "Where are you going?" "I'm leaving. I swear to God, you guys are the devil." Then she's outside. Of course, the cameras follow her. And she goes, "Why are you still filming? Go fuck yourself. I'm serious." And then she gets in her car and drives away. To be continued again. Side note, Jennifer has agreed to host your barbecue at her house at the last minute, by the way. And you are just going to take off and not say goodbye to her or let her know what's happening? So rude. Anyway, that is it from me. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you would like to see more videos just like this, please subscribe to my channel, Jill Informed. If you need to buy anything at Amazon, please go through one of my links in the description box down below. You don't have to buy the item I have linked. If you just go into your Amazon through my link and buy whatever it is that you want, I will get some credit for that. So thank you very much. And that's about it. I will see you next time for the next episode of The Real Housewives of New Jersey. Bye.